shopping live stream where we go online together and look for deals on photography gear and accessories and things. And I'm always looking for good deals, and I found a couple more. It's a little bit slim this week in terms of absolute best deals that I could find, but there are still some good deals to be had. Um, and also, I'll leave it up to an open Q&A if you have any questions about anything you might be shopping for that's photography related. I'll be happy to help you with that as well. And let's just get into a few things. I do have a deals page, and there's all my links are down below to this deal page. Also, I have a B&H affiliate link if you're shopping there. It's a great way to support the channel using my affiliate links, and it's greatly appreciated. So, see Roger's here and Robert's here. Good to see you guys. Uh, I'll just go right to my deal page and I'll show you a few things that I found today, and then we'll just go into an open Q&A and chat. Okay, so I'm always looking for, the basics of, uh, photography gear and accessories. So you've bought your camera, you got it with the kit lens, say, for example. The next thing a lot of people look for is typically another lens. But I would argue, you want to get other things like a camera bag, lens filters for the current lens that you have, and flash and a tripod. These are kind of the core essentials, and then everything else are kind of nice to haves, right? But I think these are the core essentials. Uh, you may want to expand after that into a new lens, um, but you can do so much with just a basic camera kit with a kit lens, and you don't need to get another lens right away. That said, there are some lenses here on sale that I'd like to point out that I think are pretty decent. But we'll start with a couple of backpacks here. So this one's a little bit on the higher end, but the difference is in terms of pricing, because I try to find $35, $40 backpacks. Uh, but $50, $60 backpack, typically you're paying a little extra, but you get a little bit more. So the difference with this one, and Mosiso is a really good brand when it comes to making backpacks, is this one has a hard shell. So it's very, very rigid, and it's going to protect your gear more so than, say, a regular soft backpack. And for those of you looking for a little bit more rigid type of backpack, this is a really good deal. $54 for a hard shell style backpack. It's sort of a medium size. It'll hold 15 to 16-inch laptop. My guess would be is this is about a 20-liter size, give or take. Uh, but yeah, and they give you plenty of dividers. That's another thing that I like to look for in backpacks is that they include lots of dividers here, so you can sort out your gear pretty easily inside. And side pocket, tripod strap, and this also has a little pocket here to help secure the tripod. Longer tripods. And as you can see here, it's like I said, it's a medium-sized backpack. So if you're looking for a hard shell type backpack, this is a good way to go, and it's a good deal. And then if you want a little larger backpack, this is a 25-liter from K&F, and it's 20% off right now. And it uses this is sort of a nylon material, but it's the newer rip resistant style nylon, so it's a little bit more durable. Hence, the $80 price point. And the size, right? So you have side pockets, you have lots of dividers. You can hold, a 15-inch laptop, and it has sort of a universal pocket on the top. And what's kind of different about this one in particular is the top compartment. Let's see if we can get a decent picture. This top compartment, you just unzip, right, to access sort of the open area of the backpack. And this is different in that a lot of backpacks have a flap over it, or most backpacks have a flap. that go over the top that you have to raise up first and then you unzip or unstring. This one here is just a simple zipper, so I really like that. And I like this buckle style that they have to hold your tripod. It's very easy to clip and tighten, right? It's very, very fast. It's easier, I'd say, even than the buckle style that you have to pinch and clip in. So I do like this buckle style quite a bit. I have it on one of my backpacks from K&F. And of course, the zippers themselves, they have little pull strings on them. Again, that makes it a lot easier. So there's a lot of nice little accents to this backpack, plenty of pockets. But the key thing about this backpack and the price point that it's at is primarily the materials used in the construction. It's a more durable material and it's a larger size, and then it has some nice little um, nice little pockets and zippered areas. Like, look at this front compartment. You can put your gimbal in there, and that's huge. Actually, I should think about this one because I have to carry my gimbal sometimes, and it is kind of a pain to carry it in the backpacks that I have now. Uh, the question is, do I want to buy another backpack? Is the question. And keep in mind, a 25-liter backpack size, and they have various colors here, two tones that you can go for. This is a pretty handsome bag here. But excuse me. Uh, the old mantra, you get what you pay for, is true to some extent. Again, this one having lots of features to it, lots of zippered areas, and different styles and choices here. And the quality of the materials is also just a notch higher. And I'd say this is sort of the deal of the week here is just a little sling messenger type shoulder bag, $15 or 14.49. I'm always looking for that under $20 bag, right? That you can get started with. And this is one of them. And it has, very versatile inserts here. So you can stack your lenses. And, for Micro Four Thirds, this is a big deal because a lot of times our lenses are very small, right? So you could easily stack your 25 and 45 in here and then mount, maybe your 12 to 45 zoom lens on the camera and just stick it in the bag. And lots of zippers, big openings, and I don't see any challenges with this bag here or any issues with it that it's not worth $14.49. Uh, and again, this is made by Mosisu, which is a really good brand. The only, let me take a closer look. Okay, I'm thinking of a different bag, so it's not this bag. But one of the other key points that I like to look for when I'm looking at shoulder bags is I really prefer the straps that are stitched into the bag itself like this. Uh, they have the buckle type or clip type straps that are, the advantage of a clip strap is you can remove it and use whatever strap you want, right? Uh, but most of us don't do that, right? We use the strap that came with the bag. And if that's the case, I'd rather have it stitched into the bag so it makes the bag more comfortable. And a lot of times the plastic, the clips that they use for the straps, the other style, are plastic. And I found those to break easily because a lot of us overstuff our bags sometimes. I don't recommend that, but a lot of us do that. The other thing I like about this bag, they include a rain cover, is we have a little rear zippered pocket as well. Now, you're not going to fit lenses and flashes in that, right? But this is really useful for carrying your little parking permits or licenses that you need when you go out on the field for certain photography jobs. And it's nice to have that handy in the back. And I have copies of my licenses and permits, uh, copies of them in various bags and backpacks. And I always put them in a small zipper compartment like this so that they're always there and I don't forget them. Um, And then we have a little front pocket, you throw your batteries and other cables and things like that in there. So 14.49. This is, I'd say, the deal of the week. And this is a great little bag. And it's big enough to put, you know, they're showing a DSLR here, but yeah, certainly more than big enough for our Micro Four Thirds cameras. And with the additional stackability of the divider, makes it even more useful for us that shoot with smaller camera systems. Oops. Okay. This is another interesting deal. There's a $6 coupon here, so make sure you add that, and you may be able to get another 5% off. Sometimes these don't work together, but this is a manual flash, not too dissimilar from the Godox IM30, in that it's a full manual flash, but I like that it has an LCD display to show you the power as well as the dial that also has the power engraved into it. It has the same basically power output as the IM30 from Godox with a guide number of 15, but 20 watt seconds. And, the um, it has a optical trigger, so you can use this off camera. But the key thing between this, because the IM30 has gone up in price a bit, I think it's like $40 now. So you're getting this for half the price. And yet, this has an LCD display and also a built-in rechargeable battery. And these lithium ion batteries, when they're built in like this, give you a much faster recycle time and last longer than, say, a pair of AAA batteries. So this to me is the much better deal when it comes to portable flashes. It has plenty of power, and this is great for doing macro photography, like focus bracketing, focus stacking, even high-res shot mode to some extent. You can use this flash with our those particular features, and combine that with the diffuser that you might spend $10 on. It's the diffuser is like half the price of the flash, right? It's kind of ironic. You would think the flash would be much more expensive or the diffuser much cheaper, but for $20, I don't see anything wrong with this flash. And it has a ton of advantages over the Godox IM30, and I'm a big Godox fan. But it's hard to pass up when you see a deal like this on a portable flash. Just keep in mind, it's not going to have TTL or high speed sync, some of the higher end type features, but and you have to be a little bit conscious of when you're focus bracketing that you don't exceed the capacity of the flash itself so that you don't get misfires. So just some minor things, but for $20, you really can't complain. Okay, now the lenses. This this is a this is a great deal on this lens. Uh, Now this is a renewed version, so you're buying it basically. It's a used copy, but it should be in excellent condition. If it's not, just send it back, right? But there's only one left, and renewed implies that it's basically in mint condition. And this is a great alternative to the new 50 to 200 f2.8 lens that came out for a fraction of the price, right? This is 15% of the price or whatever. It's a very small fraction of the price of that new lens. And optically, in my opinion, you're going to get virtually the same image quality. Uh, Now you're losing a stop of light, but you're gaining, you know, a lot in terms of size and weight. It's tiny. I mean, it's not tiny, but it's very, very small compared to the new 50 to 200 f2.8. And the focal range is very similar. It's not quite the reach of the 200. And also, you can't use teleconverters with this, but it is weather sealed. It has a great focal range. It's very, very sharp, very fast autofocus. And this is a pro lens, so it's going to have excellent build quality, all metal. Aside from the filter thread, those are plastic. I wish they would make those metal, but Uh, I think this is a great deal. And then we have the 25 millimeter f1.2 Pro lens. So again, I'd only recommend this lens if you're doing professional work and you want the highest quality possible. This is a really good deal. And for the rest of us, I think the 25 1.8 or the 25 1.4 from Panasonic Leica is, half or less than half the price of this and will suit most of us. But for those of you that want the professional features, the weather sealing, the focusing clutch, um, and the uncompromised image quality wide open to stop down, the pro lenses are the way to go. And it makes a lot of sense for people that are doing professional work. And then there's a couple of bargain lenses here. The Mikey 50 millimeter 0.95. So this would make an amazing portrait lens in low light, or if you want that shallow depth of field. And of course, on our Micro Four Thirds cameras, it's going to be 100 millimeter equivalent, so it's a short telephoto lens. And if this is a focal length, this is a great alternative to, say, the 45 1.8, right? Or complement to the 45 1.8 autofocus lens. This is a manual focus lens, but I wouldn't worry about that. It's, because with focus peaking and magnification, it's not that difficult to manually focus a lens. Uh, you just wouldn't use it for sports action typically, right? This is a portrait lens and a short telephoto for other types of photography where, 100 millimeter might make sense. There's landscape. You can do some nice short telephoto work with this lens. And so it's not a focal length that I use very much personally, but it's definitely a very sort of a standard when it comes to focal lengths. To have your wide angle, your medium, normal, and then your short telephoto. So for $132 or and 93 cents, if you've been thinking about this focal length and having a fast bright aperture, this is a great deal. Now this lens is a little bit bulky, but it's not too bad. It's not bad at all, really. But I would use this more on like an OM1, an OM3. You could even go EM5, or OM5 Mark II. It's just going to be a little bit bigger and heavier on those cameras. On your EM10s, yeah, it's definitely a little bit bulky for those kind of cameras, but what short telephoto lens is not bulky, especially one at 0.95. And I would recommend this over, say, buying a vintage, because you can buy a lot of legacy glass at 50 millimeters that'll cost you this much or more. Like if you wanted to get a 50 millimeter 1.4, you're going to spend $100 on a vintage glass. This way, you don't have to buy a vintage piece. You can buy one brand new, so you don't have to worry about fungus and scratches and coatings and things like that. So this will be a nice lens, and it fits natively onto the camera, so you don't have to worry about adapters. So there's a lot of reasons to go with this particular lens over, say, a vintage lens that you'd buy off eBay or something. And I love macro photography. This macro lens is on sale now for 249. The price has gone up on this, since last year. But $249 or $250 is a really good deal uh, for a lens like this, because you can use this almost like a normal lens. It's a little bit tight, but you could use this as a normal lens and then do close up and macro photography with it. Now they're showing a 1.25x magnification, but that's when you get like this close to the subject. Uh, I would use this lens more for like doing flower photography, uh, and other types of close-up photography, but not super micro like bugs, little tiny gnats and flies. Those kind of insects, you're not going to get that close to them before they fly away because you have to get so close with this lens. So this lens is better suited for a little bit wider field of view, like flowers, small flowers, and other small plants and things like that, and larger insects. That you need a little bit of distance with, like say grasshoppers and lizards or whatever. But it's nice that its versatile focal length of being 30 millimeters, you can use it as a normal lens. And this is something I bought, uh, and I really enjoy this particular power bank. I have this on my desktop right now, and I use it to charge everything, just about, like my microphones, my cell phone, my cameras. And I love the fact that you have this like OLED display that tells you the power output that it's using to charge your device. So it's very good for diagnosing any kind of problems you might have. There's an app. I don't use the app, but there's an app for this that'll show the time, date, weather. I don't know. It has some kind of app that'll display different things on the front. Uh, Personally, I don't care about that stuff. I just want to use it for the charging, and it's an intelligent charger, and it has a very, very high output. I use it for lighting the LED lighting when I do my tabletop type work. So this is a great power supply, quality from Anchor. And this is less than I paid for mine. I paid $118 for mine, and now it's even cheaper than when I bought. I bought it at like 30% off. Now it's 35% off. And it rarely goes down this low. It's usually I see this at full price most of the time, and then time to time it'll go 20, 30% off. And that's when I bought mine. But at 35% off, this is about as low as it gets, that I've seen since this has been released. Okay, here's another camera bag from Terion, another excellent brand. This one is $10 more than the one we looked at before, but uh, it's about the same, equal quality, same features. Basically, it's just a little different style, and different style dividers. So if you want to spend a little more because you don't like the styling of the other one, this is an excellent alternative at a good deal. But it's not as good a deal as the $14 one, right? I think both are very handsome looking bags, so I would go either way, and they're of equal quality in my opinion. And then the OM3 is finally has a sale now. It's only 8%, but I'll take it. The best deal is really if you get the OM3 with the 12 to 45 f4 kit lens. This is a smoking deal, because you're only paying 250 bucks more to get the 12 to 45 Pro. So I would highly recommend this combination if you don't already have the 12 to 45 Pro. It's an awesome lens. I replaced my 12 to 40 Pro f2.8 with this lens, and I couldn't be happier because I rarely need the f2.8 for anything. So f4 is fine, and I'd rather have the smaller, more compact lens, easier to carry, and the filters thread is 58 millimeters, so I can attach all of my filters to it easily. Uh, this is a great lens, and a great camera, of course. I've talked about the OM3 a million times, how much I love this camera. It's my primary camera, uh, and I can't highly recommend this particular combination high enough, especially at this price point. If it was this price, uh, I would have loved to get this price when I bought mine, but I didn't. Okay, and a couple other odds and ends here. The tabletop tripods, I always recommend tabletop tripods. They're very, very handy for macro work, tabletop type photography. So these rarely, and there's an additional coupon here. That's a killer deal. Mhm. These style tripods typically sell for $45, $50. And the fact that you can get this one, it looks like you're going to be able to get this one for about $28, is a no-brainer if you don't have a tabletop tripod already. Because if I scroll down and you look at all these other ones, these are basically the same thing. Like this one for $46, this one for $48. This $11 one is a plastic piece of crap. Don't buy that. This $15 one is also on my deal page. I bought this one here. I don't recommend this one. I thought I would like it, but I ended up not liking this one as much. What I found was the ball head doesn't tighten down for my OM3 with lens and flash on it. I have to really kind of over tighten it, and I don't like that. So yeah, I'm not. I thought this would be a great mini tripod, but it was not. But I only paid $13 for it, so I'm not going to return it. But here is the another mini tripod. This one does not have the Arca Swiss clamp on top, so you have to screw it directly into your camera tripod mount or base plate. But this is also a really great uh, tabletop tripod for doing, obviously tabletop type work, close-up photography on the ground, and also it's easier to use as a grip to hold your camera. And I found that using a grip while I'm doing my macro photography makes things so much easier. So I can recommend this one, and it doesn't have the Arca Swiss clamp, so again, you have to screw it in directly, but uh, it has a metal ball head, so you shouldn't have any problems with this tripod in terms of holding your heavier cameras. And it sounds ironic when I say like heavier cameras. I'm going to say like the OM3 with a 60 macro and a flash. Once you start adding up all those things, it does get a little bit heavy, but the metal ball heads have no problem holding those. Unlike this one here, the ball head is actually plastic, which surprised me, and that's part of the problem and why I stress, over tightening it because I don't want to break it. Although the legs are all metal and the base, I don't know why they put a plastic ball head on it. Okay, I didn't find any particularly good deals on filters, but I will point you to this set here. This set here was 25% off the other day, so it's like $2 more. But this is a filter set that fits the 14 to 42 easy kit lens and uh, the regular 14 to 42 with the 37 millimeter thread. And you get basically an ND filter and a CPL. The UV filter is not as much use, but you get that and you get a carry case with it all for like $18. So think about it, you're paying $6 a piece, and I haven't noticed any difference in image quality when I use the CPL a lot on my kit lens. And I just, so the kit lens is a lens I use a lot. And when you have a lens that you use a lot, you might as well buy a dedicated filter set for it, but get it when it's on sale, right? Rather than going through the whole step ring hell. But speaking of step ring hell, this is a great deal. $16 for a full set of step rings. Just, kind of go through the different sizes and see if it has a few in there that you're going to definitely use. But I found over time I end up using a lot of them back and forth, even if though I don't realize I was going to use that many. Because you just run across different lenses and scenarios where you want to step up and down to do different things. And it's really nice to have a full ring set. Because I paid $20 for my set, uh, gosh, like 10 years ago, and this is a bargain for $16. And then these filter rings, these are really handy for unscrewing the filters off of your lens. So these are basic things that every photographer should have to just make their life easier without spending a ton of money. Um, Here's a $25 tripod. If you have no tripod, it's better to get this than to have no tripod at all. The key thing about this is I like that it has a metal ball head. and it can convert to a monopod. This is the kind of tripod you kind of just keep in your trunk so that you're never without one. Or if it's your only tripod and you're really on a tight budget, this is better than nothing. But this at this price point, it's much better than just about any other tripod at this price point, particularly because of the metal ball head. So, and a standard Arca Swiss plate and clamp. And it has a decent height at 65 inches, but you have to extend the center column to get that. But without extending the center column, I imagine it's going to be closer to, if they tell you. Sometimes they don't tell you. 65. Oh, so yeah, without extending the center column, they're saying it's 65, so it's pretty tall. It's pretty tall. So I like that. It has built-in spikes, which has some use for softer ground. And yeah, we don't care about that. But this is another good deal. You get this $25 tripod, the $15 bag, and an $18 filter set, and you got everything I talked about in the beginning. Filter, tripod, bag, right? Uh, and a $20 flash. So again, this is a setup for less than $100. So what did I say? 20, 15 is 35, another 18. That's 53 plus uh what was the other thing? Well, anyway, yeah, we're talking about 60, $70. You got a tripod, a bag, a filter set, um, and my brain and a flash. And I don't want to get too much into this other stuff because I've talked about it a million times, but this is the diffuser that I use. This will go great with that flash that I showed you earlier with the newer flash to go around your 60 millimeter macro lens and uh, a little pop, a little portable flash that goes on top and some other stuff in here. So if you have any questions about anything on this page, let me know, or if there's anything you're looking for. So that's what I wanted to show you today. And again, if you use my affiliate links, I'll earn a small commission, and it helps support the work that I do here, not just for shopping and finding deals, but the photo editing and the weekly regular photo chat live streams. All right, so let me get into the chat section. And I see, yeah, Robert and Roger, good to see you guys. Steve, good to see you. Jeff, always good to see you. Javis and ATR Bear, Peter. Yeah, the 14 to 40 150 kit lens is hard to beat. It's right now it's 199. Uh you can usually find it on sale for about 150 or wasn't that long ago. I felt like you get it for $99 all day long, but I haven't seen a $99 price in a while. And Shri, good to see you. Um so those are the deals. I guess not much has happened since Sunday. I just I didn't do much yesterday. I was just kind of binge watching Netflix. I had a series I wanted to finish, and it's just amazing how much media you can consume in a very small amount of time. It's kind of a blessing and a curse, you know, because you think about it, back in the 80s and 90s, it took me 10 years to see every episode of like Seinfeld, right? And now you can binge watch Seinfeld. You can probably knock it out in a weekend if you're really, if you just stay up all weekend. It's crazy. Uh, I've been getting into well, I don't want to talk about Netflix, but you know, I need to put out a review for a Flash. I'm going to do a review for the Godox V480 for Olympus users and talk about the stacking and high-res shot mode and relative to the IT30 Godox flash that I just did, with all that stuff out there. Um, that's about it. What do you guys think? What have you guys been up to? My voice a little scratchy. Sorry about that. And I was having some problems with my mic this morning, so that's why I started late. But man, it's awful quiet with you guys this morning. Normally, I got like at least a few questions about some of this stuff. Um, I am trying to give away the DXO, some of the DXO products, and I put emails out to people. I don't think that anybody here is on that list, but uh, I need to get your email address so I can send you some DXO software. I had mentioned last week or the week before with the launch of DXO9, the I was giving away like Nick Collection and Film Pack and Viewpoint and Pure Raw. And I've yet to hear back from anyone to give me their email address so I can give it to them because I kind of picked the winners already. So if I don't hear back from them by this weekend, I will run the gamut again and pick another four people to get those. Because DXO is kind enough to give me these licenses for s- to give away the software for free, and I can't believe nobody's getting back to me. Okay, here's one. Roger says, was having trouble focusing on hummingbirds at my feeders, so I just use pre-manual focus. If you're not in the same plane, the autofocus sort of stalls out. Okay, I haven't, when I was doing hummingbirds, I really wasn't having problems. It's been a couple of years though. But hummingbirds don't have sort of that shape that birds normally have, right? When, at least from the camera's point of view. So it is harder to get them using the bird detect autofocus. I assume you're using something with bird detect. If we're talking about regular autofocus, like phase detect autofocus in an OM5 or something, again, it should be pretty good if it's even if you're not on the same plane. So rather than using preset manual focus, what I would use is the focus limiter and set the range in between. And you have to do a little uh whatchamacallit. You have to do a little trial and error, right? Of what the minimum and maximum focus distance is going to be. But that will help a lot if you can set the focus limiter to the range that the hummingbirds will be in around the feeder. I believe it does. I don't know for a fact because I don't have a 3 V350, but I believe they use the same battery. And Dale is here. Good to see you. Um, yeah, so that's what I read was that it uses the same V350 battery. The V480 is a great flash. It's really good for macro, better than the V350, because it has a little more power output, so you get faster recycle times and longer cycling for focus bracketing, like if you're doing 100 shots. But also, it has a modeling lamp in the front. So if you like to use the AK diffuser or any diffuser for that matter, but in particular the AK diffuser, you can turn on the LED light in the V480 to give you a little bit of luminance on your subject to help you focus and see what you're trying to focus on. Because a lot of times you're getting up close and everything kind of gets a little bit darker, and having a little bit of extra light helps a lot. Oh, you just want the sub C charging. Okay. Yeah, the USB-C charging. I get it. Um, yeah, it's handy when you can just plug the battery in directly, right? Rather than have to carry a separate charger. It'd be nice if the USB-C port on the V480 allowed you to charge the battery inside, but it doesn't. It's strictly for doing firmware updates. Um, but I'm pretty content either way in terms of charging the battery in a separate charger or directly. I feel like when you have to when they give you the option to charge the battery directly, uh, there's got to be some loss in capacity to make room for the charging circuits, right? But maybe not. Maybe not. But I just feel like how can they cram the same capacity battery when they have to add in the USB-C port and the charging circuits on top of that? And Dale, good to see you here from Wisconsin. And Henning, always good to see you. Um, so let me let me grab. Well, I guess I don't need to, but I feel I'm at a loss of words this morning. I don't know why. Maybe because I didn't sleep well. Usually, I can just sit here and jibber jabber for a couple of hours. But if you guys don't have any questions, maybe we can wrap it up and do an short stream today. Because I'll just go back to my deal page. But I don't see. So yeah, I have addressed a lot of the things I wanted to talk about. I guess keep in mind that other than my deal page, I have other categories here, like my flash photography category, lots of stuff in here, different kinds of flashes. Godox has come out with their riser now. They have it for OM systems now as well. And there's some budget flashes here for $18, but I would get the other one for 20. I don't this one lets you tilt up a little bit though. Lots of accessories in here, and if you go to the OM system page, various lenses and things that I can recommend. I love the Sigma. This Yongnuo is kind of new and it's very cheap. Great alternative to the 45 f1.8. And I remember someone was asking about a wide angle lens that was faster than f2.8. So here's one, the 10 millimeter f2. This is a great little lens. I had it for a little while for my Fujifilm camera. Um, but on Micro Four Thirds, this, you know, this is a great alternative to the 12 millimeter f2.2.0 because that lens is like $500, right? We can, if you like to adapt lenses, and I recommend getting extra rear caps. These have come in handy. I'm always running out of these personally because I keep adapting lenses and using different adapters. But yeah, all kinds of stuff in here. All-in-one Mark II is $1,800. That's a deal. Wow. I didn't. Oh, that's because this is renewed. All right, never mind. I thought that was brand new. 1.5 Mark II is out. But yeah, check out some of the other pages that I have where I group things together for different systems, and you might find some neat little thing. Like I have one other page here called "The Little Things That Help." Probably further down. Just like battery grips. These are really handy for even cameras, not just LED lighting, but I've used that time to time. screen calibrations, monitors, memory card readers, uh, camera strap lugs that are Peak Design style, various lens hoods, all kinds of little things that, maybe didn't know you needed, but you can check out and see if this will help you with solve one of your solutions, right? Or help, you know, give you a solution to a problem that you might be having. Like, for example, this is kind of a neat little device. Uh, Basically, you can plug in any external hard drive. I would recommend like an SSD, and you can put your SD card in there, and it'll back up your SD card to your external hard drive. And you can do that without, using it has Wi-Fi, but you can do it directly from SD card to hard drive so that when you're traveling, you can have backups constantly from your SD card to your hard drive. So some people have found this kind of device very useful when they travel, and memory card readers and remote things. This is not a bad deal. This is a nice little power bank, 24,000 milliamp, 140 watts. So this is a portable version of the desktop one that I was showing you. And this is a pretty good deal. I have seen it as low as $75, but this is an Anchor brand. This is a really good brand, very high quality product. Should work really well when you need portable power. Okay. And Stuart said, I'm learning all the intricacies of DxO Photolab 9. Yeah, there's a lot of little things, right? Someone pointed out to me something I never looked at before. Maybe it's new in Photolab 9. Maybe that's why I've never seen it before. But it's something about highlight priority, shadow priority, metering. I'm going to have to try that. That's something new. And I think, Stuart, you're the one that uses a AMD of graphics card, so you're not having any kind of crashing problems like I am. It's better since I backed my driver back to an older version for my NVIDIA card, but it'll still crash sometimes when I'm using the Subject Detect AI. And let's see. Oh, Isaac from Malaysia. What are your thoughts on adapting 4/3 lenses on MFT body? I'm planning buying a used EM1 Mark II at the end of the year for its phase detect autofocus. It's okay. I, if you have a lot of 4/3 lenses already, then it makes sense to buy the adapter. I bought like a cheap adapter. It works fine. I didn't have to buy the OEM one made from Olympus. I'll show you the one that I have. It's, I actually have the 50 to 200 4/3 lens, and this is a 2.8 to 3.5 aperture. It's really sharp. And no, it's not the same optical design as the new 50 to 200. The new 50 to 200 is a totally new optical design from this. So you lose a couple of things, right? You're going to lose like subject detect, which the OM1 Mark II. I'm sorry, you're going to get the EM1 Mark II. So the EM1 Mark II didn't have subject detect anyway, so it's going to be perfectly fine with lenses like this. And the lens adapter I have, let me look it up on Amazon, unless you already have one. Uh, I'll just go to my orders page. Is this one? It works fine. Uh, yeah, $30, right? So that's a lot cheaper than the Olympus version. But the compromise is this is made of plastic, right? So it's not quite as for big lenses like this, it's a little bit troubling to me. But and the other thing was the fit and finish wasn't quite as tight. So when I put this on my lens, there was a little bit of play, even though it was clicked and mounted. So someone suggested that I put a little tiny rubber band around the lens mount here, and now it fits tight, nice and tight and snug, no problem. So that's been a great solution. And the autofocus and everything works fine. It's not quite super fast and as snappy for like I was trying to do birds in flight with this lens, but for the other lenses that I have, it was perfectly fine using this adapter on my OM1 in this case. I was using it with my OM1 and OM3. I imagine it'd be the same, if not better, on an EM1 Mark II. So I would only do it if you already have a lot of 4/3 lenses. If I wouldn't buy 4/3 lenses at this point, I would just buy the regular native micro 4/3 lenses for the EM1. Uh, it just doesn't make sense to me to get this old glass anymore because they are a little bit cheaper, but it's just you lose a little bit of performance. It's not worth it to me. It only makes sense if you already have a lot of 4/3 lenses. I have 3 or 4 4/3 lenses, and they all work great with this adapter. And the autofocus is acceptable. It's not as good as a native lens, though. Roger, so my EM5 Mark III and my OM1, I have the company grip and battery grip for the OM1. Any long Arca Swiss plates that work on those with the grips on? Ooh, I've never used the Arca Swiss grips when I have battery grip on there, but there are quarter 20 screws, so you're gonna have to buy a generic one. Any generic one will do. But I can't speak to. Let me look at. Is my grip right? I haven't used my grip in a while. But the OM1 is has a nice flat base, right? So it'll be easy to put an Arca Swiss plate on here. And in terms of size, no, I didn't use that. Something a little bigger like this. Something about this size would be good that you can, it's adjustable, right? Uh, so anything this size. So this one measures, this one measures 60, looks like about 70. This is a 70 millimeter plate. So when you're looking at Arca Swiss plates, when you're shopping for these, you want to get about a 70 millimeter, and this is what it looks like on this grip. This is the grip for the OM1. Just make sure it has a little notch here so you can adjust it, right? So that's a 70 millimeter plate and how that fits. I think that would be a good size. You can get a little longer because the overall base measures. Uh, you could go up to 110 millimeters. So between 70 and 110. Typically, they're like 100 millimeter plates, though. So let me take a quick look. So I just typed in 70 millimeter Arcus plate. I wouldn't get this one. Um, this one looks pretty nice. Here's one from Leave Photo. But if you want a little higher quality one, this looks really good right here. The problem with these, right? Even though you see these little rubber pads, they they tend to peel off, you know? So this one here, this one here is my Benro, and the rubber pads are sort of embedded into the plate itself. They're not like sticking on top. They actually uh there's a little bit, yeah, it's inside the plate a little bit and doesn't stick out quite as much. Whereas the rubber pads on like this one, they're sticking on top and they tend to peel off. So I would get something more like this, where, a little higher quality plate where the rubber pads are recessed into the plate itself a little bit, and then those stay on. They don't come off. But I don't, let me see if there's a 100 millimeter plate, because 100 would be the next logical step. These are the 100 millimeter plates. I mean, this looks good because this doesn't have any rubber pads at all, but it also has a lip on it, so that may be a little bit troublesome. Yeah, don't get that one. That has a lip on it. Yeah, something like this is a good plate. This has you can take out, two of the screws that you don't need and just use one in the center. But this is a good 100 millimeter plate, and I can see that the rubber feet are recessed into the plate itself. And then you can remove these little stainless steel screws here. These are basically for, anti-slip and slide and all that. Or you can leave them in if you can get it to fit on your camera with it on. But that looks like a good plate there from Hogue, and Hogue is a decent brand. So I'll give you a link to this one. This is the 100 millimeter plate. Oh, this is 110 millimeters. So let me measure this again. 110. Yeah, 110 would cover the whole inside, but not quite go to the edges. So that this may be the best one. So I would get this one if I wanted to get a plate for my. So I added it to my deal page, and I can give you a link directly in the chat section. Okay. Yeah, any brand. Yeah, Hogue is a good brand. Benro makes some good plates. So Benro and Hogue, these are the two that I found to be really good quality plates. This is my Benro one. And then Hogue. Leaf Photo is good, but you have to buy their higher end ones. If you buy the cheap ones, they're the same as any of the generic ones. But if you buy their higher end ones, they're really good. Yeah, one with the D ring is helpful. Yep. Yeah, this one doesn't have a D ring, right? But the 110 millimeter one did from Hogue, and that'll cover the entire base. So it's really, really solid. Oh, you use a Mac, okay. Alright, so Mac, it works well with Mac without crashing so much, right? That's cool. The EM5 Mark III, I don't know how big the plate is or how big the base is. You may wanna get the 70 millimeter plate for that one. But definitely on the OM1, you can go to 110 millimeters. Okay. Why don't we wrap it up here? It's kind of a short stream for me, right? I normally do a couple hours, but check out some of the deals I have. Go through all my pages. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Be a member. All of that supports the work that I do here. And I'm gonna try and crank out a couple of videos. I had some requests for videos that shouldn't take me too long. Since I finished my Netflix series, I don't have to binge watch today. I'm such an idiot. I have a love-hate relationship with Netflix, right? Because I catch on to a series and then you have to finish. But that's me. That's me. I need to grow up. So thanks for joining me today. It was great seeing everyone. You guys have a great rest of your week. I'll be back on Friday, at the very least, for my photo editing live stream with YouTube. And Roger says, "How about a DxO Flow cheat sheet for Friday stream?" Okay, I may do a video for workflow. Uh, because I did one for Photolab 6, 2, 3 years ago, but it's a good time to update now that Photolab 9 is out, um, to make another workflow video because the workflow is very different than it was since Photolab 6. So great suggestion. Thanks again for being here, and I hope to see you guys again soon.